Kia ora koutou, Markie here in the mobile studio. It's a glorious day. Welcome to the channel. Special welcome to American unsubscribed males between the ages of 40 and 60. I think that's the age range. That's what the analytics say the biggest part of my audience consists of. Note there that I said unsubscribed, not uncircumcised. Well, I don't know that you'd necessarily have mistaken that for uncircumcised, but I would. That's the way my mind works. And apparently that's, you know, one of the beauties of being neurodivergent is you make links between things that neurotypical people wouldn't make links and associations. So so welcome to everybody. So welcome to subscribers, and thank you to subscribers, and thank you and welcome to people who also support this channel on Patreon. We're hugely grateful for you. So I want to talk a bit more about this topic of who listens to or watches this channel. And in the previous video, I mean, watch that first. Have a listen to that first if you haven't already, because this is an adjunct to that. Really, it's a follow-on to that question. Looking at that in a bit more depth. So the algorithm says that it's you American guys. Most of you aren't subscribers, and you're in the same age band as me, basically. Now, what I don't know, and what I'd be intrigued to know and like to know, is how many people within. Sorry about the shaky camera. If you're new to this channel, the shaky camera is one of the trademarks. I want to know how many of that group are people who suffer with retroactive jealousy, or maybe are partners of people who suffer with retroactive jealousy. Because I know that's a big part of my audience. The videos I put out on retroactive jealousy have a higher view count than a lot of the other topics that I cover. But you're hidden, you're secret, you're anonymous, you're quiet. I don't hear from you. I hear from some people with retroactive jealousy. I get feedback sometimes on the retroactive jealousy videos in particular, which is always appreciated. But I do get that, people don't necessarily want to announce themselves as somebody that suffers with retroactive jealousy, because, it's embarrassing. I had it myself, so I know what it's like. And not only is it kind of personally embarrassing, but it's kind of vicariously embarrassing, because if you have retroactive jealousy, you have some kind of issue with your partner's past behaviour, and usually that's at odds with your values. Usually kind of, you think that in the abstract that's okay, but you don't like the fact that your partner did these things. But if you publicly talk about having retroactive jealousy, it kind of could, cast a potential kind of a vicarious and implicit slur on your partner. So I get why you might not want to do that. Now, the reason that you're getting so much sky here and the camera's shaking so much is I've zoomed in, so I'm going to zoom back out again, and then you won't get so much seasickness from looking at the sea. There you go. So, but I would, if you do feel comfortable to announce yourself and say who you are watching this channel. If you're somebody who doesn't normally comment. It would be great to hear, where are you from? What made you? How did you find the channel? What is it you like about this channel? Now, I know that most people. I've done a video on this as well. Most people that watch YouTube videos haven't signed up to YouTube. They're just what are called casual YouTubers, and that's absolutely fine. Because anybody can click on a YouTube video. You don't have to join YouTube, but if you do join YouTube, that means you can comment and you can hit the like button and you can subscribe, so you get a notification when I put out a new video. Although subscribing doesn't do that on its own, you have to also click the little bell icon, and then it gives you a menu of how often or when you want to be alerted. So if you click, I think it's all or all content, I can't remember what it says exactly, then you get a notification every time I put a video out. So I would encourage you, if you are part of the silent majority of my audience, my anonymous, mysterious majority, it would be great to hear from you. So if you are signed up to YouTube already, and you fancy just saying hello, that would be nice. But you don't have to. It would just be nice. And if you're not signed up to YouTube, I would recommend it, because you like I say, you can subscribe to channels and then you get alerts. So you can pick your favourite channels and then get a notification when they put something out, so you can watch it. And like I say, you can join in, you can comment, but that commenting isn't just about commenting. You can join in, conversations. Hopefully nice ones. Generally speaking, I don't get too many trolls on my channel. I give them very short shrift. I tend to sort of destroy them verbally and then block them quite rapidly. So there's not a lot of bad behaviour on my channel, and I don't tolerate it, basically. So if you comment on my channel and someone's rude to you in the comments, I will sort them out. Let me know, because usually I'm on top of the comments. But if anybody's rude to you on my channel, I will sort them out, because I want this channel to be a pleasant place for people to have conversations. So yeah, to join YouTube, it doesn't take very long. It's really easy. Even I can do it, and I'm terrible with anything techie or anything to do with online stuff. But you have to have a Gmail email account first. And you may not want one. You've probably got your own non-Gmail email account, and you don't want to know about anything else, which is absolutely fine. But you can just ignore the Gmail account once you've got it. You just use it as your means to access the signing up to YouTube, and then you can forget you've got that Gmail account. You don't have to receive emails on it or use it in any way. Just forget it's there. It's just your passport to interactive YouTube watching, which is always more fun, isn't it? Because YouTube is a social media. It's not just a video posting platform. It's a social media. We can talk. It's good to talk, as they used to say when they were trying to advertise something. So I've been having a think about a little bit more, more thought about who this channel is for, who it's aimed at, which isn't necessarily the people that are watching the channel. Who I think it's for and who I aim it towards doesn't necessarily mean it's that's the same group of people that are going to be watching, because actually the majority of the people that I communicate with on YouTube that like my comment and that kind of thing, and the subscribers, are fellow YouTubers. They're people that have also got YouTube channels. But oh, somebody's just put their radio on, I think. No, they switched it back on again. I did warn you about noise, didn't I? We've got lots of I mentioned the birds, didn't I? Usually I get distracted by the birds and end up showing you the birds. There's a baby seagull around as well, and a mummy seagull. So at some point I'll probably be distracted and show you that. So after some thought, I came to the conclusion that people who my channel is aimed at. So first of all, a big group obviously is going to be people with retroactive jealousy and their partners. But another group, and of course there could be overlap as well here, is going to be people who are intellectually curious, open-minded, have quite a broad interest, so interested in lots of different things, particularly psychology, but also are non-scholarly. What do I mean by non-scholarly? So I think scholarly is as scholarly does, maybe. So you could call yourself a scholar if you are a university graduate. If you have a bachelor's degree, you could call yourself a scholar. Scholars, so scholar is somebody that's quite closely connected with academia. Okay, so somebody that's scholarly will might be still connected in some way with a university, and scholarly people like scholarly articles. So what do I mean by a scholarly article? Okay, so anybody can write an article, but if you want to write for a recognized scholarly journal, there's a very a very specific way in which you have to write, and a very specific way in which you have to show your sources and refer to, if it's around research, you have to quote research and understand research and present research in a certain way. And these are articles that get published in journals. They're connected with the academic world. So generally speaking, if you're connected with a university, you can access these scholarly journals. But there's different ways to access different journal articles. And these articles are kind of peer reviewed as well. So generally speaking, they are written by people who are usually postgraduates, and they have to be written in a particular format. They wouldn't be accepted if they're not considered to be of a certain standard. And then once they're published, anyone who is also what they call a peer, so that would be somebody that's of the same discipline. So often it's people with master's degrees or doctorates that would read that article and tear it to pieces potentially, or quote it in their own papers if they like it and they think it's useful. So scholarly people think in a certain way. Okay, so you don't have to. In theory, you don't even have to have a bachelor's degree to be of a scholarly disposition. It just means you're the kind of person that likes to read evidence-based material from peer-reviewed journals. So scholarly material is not easy to read. It annoys me because I love language. And I think language should be beautiful and it should be clear. That's why I have a series called Accurate and Elegant Spoken English, or about accurate and elegant spoken English. The scholarly way of writing is I would say quite pompous. Sorry, scholars, but it is. And it's because it's a club, isn't it? Every profession or interest group has kind of internal tests to tell somebody that belongs to that community apart from somebody that's an outsider. And it happens with the dinner table as well. If you're not of a certain social class and you go to a very posh dinner, you will kind of possibly struggle with knowing which knife and fork to pick up, and a load of other kind of written rules of etiquette that are there to exclude people that don't belong to that class or that group or whatever have you. And I think academia is very big on this. I have lots of problems with academia. I'm not against academics. I've got lots of lovely people I know who are academics. But I don't like academia. I think it's quite corrupt as well in lots of ways. Now, if you're academic, you're going to be saying, "Where's your sources? State your evidence." YouTube, but a good source on YouTube. So a lot of people, so particularly professional people, so a lot of my fellow psychotherapists, and certainly things like psychologists, things like that, they will have a tendency, a bias towards getting their information from journals and from scholarly sources. Okay, which is great, because there is a rigor around those sources. They generally can be trusted. They've been tested and poked and prodded, which is great. But as I said in other videos, and I won't go into too much here, the scholarly approach is just one way of accessing truth. There are other ways of accessing truth, and in fact there are some ways, I would maintain, that where the scholarly approach is actually very bad at accessing truth. I think when it comes to the spiritual, for example, and I've done other videos. So the one I did on who can call themselves a scientist, which I did recently, touches on this. So I won't say too much more about that. But that's what I mean by scholarly. Okay, so a scholar is, we would normally think of a scholar as a university professor, somebody that's professionally, perhaps on a full-time basis, engaged in research, study, maybe teaching, that kind of thing. But I think you can be scholarly without having that if your bent is towards seeking information from scholarly sources. So that's what I mean. Okay, so where do I fit in this spectrum? Well, as you can probably tell, I'm not very scholarly. I'm a bit scholarly. I have a great frustration with the way that scholarly articles are written. That drives me nuts. I don't like the way newspaper articles are written as well. That drives me nuts too. I'm very picky about English. I do like English to be good and presented in an accessible way. So my channel is not for the scholarly. Okay, if you are scholarly, you will find my channel quite frustrating, because although I am very educated in the areas where I consider myself to have expertise, and I've read lots of scholarly papers, and I've gone to lots and lots of conferences, and I listen to scholarly lectures, at least probably once a month I'm listening to a scholarly lecture. But the way I present is not scholarly, and I draw on lots of sources which are not academic. I draw on anecdotal stuff a lot, but I usually say if something's unproven, and it's opinion, I will say, as opposed to if something's research based. But my audience, I'm sure I'm not going to attract a scholarly audience, because I think I'll drive a scholarly audience a bit nuts. So I think I have a certain percentage of people who are scholarly. I don't think I would exclude all scholarly people, but you also have to have quite an open mind. And scholars often don't have open minds, because scholars have to prove everything. So I've quoted as an unfunny joke that I use to illustrate this point. So you're at a conference in a conference centre, and you want to know where the toilets are, and there's a bunch of professors standing, talking about the last presentation, and you politely interrupt one and ask, can you tell me where the toilets are, please? And the professor will say, no, I can't, I'm afraid. I have seen signs that point in that direction, but as I haven't used the toilets yet myself, I couldn't, hazard to tell you where they are. Okay, so it's a very unfunny joke. Don't expect that to be funny, but it makes the point. Okay, it's more of an analogy than a joke. So scholars won't commit themselves to anything unless it's been proven, unless other people have written about it beforehand, and unless it's been, I use the word proven lightly, but as a kind of a catch-all. Unless there's evidence, unless there's papers about it. And the thing about retroactive jealousy, which I talk about a lot, is there are very few papers, as far as I'm aware. I think there's probably, I did get access to some more sources recently, actually, which I need to go through. But in terms of scholarly papers, I have only read 3 scholarly papers on retroactive jealousy. There's a lot on jealousy, but jealousy and retroactive jealousy, retroactive jealousy is a very different beast to jealousy in general. So only 3 scholarly papers on retroactive jealousy that I've read. There are probably some more that I need to catch up on, but not that many. Probably another 2 or something like that. There's probably people working on it as we speak. So my target audience is people who are intelligent and curious. Have a high degree of curiosity. So on the five-factor personality model, there would be, my audience are people who are high in what they call openness to experience, which is about curiosity and intellectualism. So you're going to be quite clever if you listen to this channel. There's a little compliment for you there, but you're not necessarily going to be academic, because I don't present things in that way. So in a way, I'm the kind of the bridge between the professional academic world and the non-academic world, or the non-specialist world, I guess, because you could be an academic in physics, but I'm generally speaking about psychology, So I'm bridging. I like to think I'm bridging that gap, which I think is a good thing, really, because that gap needs to be bridged. So I draw a lot of stuff from, including some quite mind-blowing stuff. Actually, there's some particularly around. I work in the field of preventing sexual harm and sexual abuse. And in that field, the research that's been done is very counterintuitive. It's not what people think. So people that sexually offend against children, the way the media and the press present the image of the typical person that does that is completely erroneous. Okay. So I've talked in some videos. So what I do, but that information isn't generally available to the public. Unless you kind of go into the scholarly intellectual world and dig around and take the effort to try and decipher some of the papers and things like that. So I like to think, blowing my own trumpet here, I guess. I like to think that I am a good bridge between the scholarly world and the non-scholarly world. And I say I'm as a person, in terms of personality and preferences, I would identify more with non-scholarly people than with scholarly people. That's how I rock with it. There's a car just pulled up, so I'm going to close my windows. So sorry, that felt like quite a long-winded way of answering the question. So that's my car talking. It does that when you switch it on. It talks to you. It talks to me in Japanese, which is interesting. Don't know what it says. Might be something. Might be profanities. So let's summarise. So who according to YouTube analytics watches my channel? Non-subscribers mainly, more than subscribers. That's normal for any YouTube channel. Americans, males, who are, I think, between 40 and 60. Check the previous video because I show the actual figures. that's who YouTube says watches my channel. In terms of my comments, subscribers, and people that I talk to through the channel, it's mainly YouTubers and a lot of people that speak English as a second language, and some non-English speakers, which is one of the reasons why I like to show you a nice view when I'm talking about the video, because some of my people that have joined my channel are not actually non-English speakers, so they can watch the view and listen to my soothing tones, but not get the full content. And who do I think my channel is aimed at? Or who I think my channel is aimed at is a group of people with retroactive jealousy, and then another group of people who are non-intellectuals but are intelligent, have a high IQ, a high level of curiosity, an open mind, and an interest in a broad level of topics. And then again, kind of another group, although I guess there's overlaps, is neurodiverse people, which we talked about in the last video. So my presentation style is very neurodivergent. I can present in a neurotypical way, and I can present, I can script things, I can organise things. If I had to do just the odd one presentation, I would, once in a blue moon, I would plan it, and it would have a beginning and a middle and an end. And I've been to Toastmasters and learnt all that stuff and everything, so I can do this. I wouldn't say I'll ever be slick because I'm far too clumsy, but I can do a organised and well presented neurotypical type presentation. But if I tried to do that with every video, I just would never make any videos. So therefore my videos are on the hoof. They're kind of what's the word, not disorganized, but you could almost say disorganized, and my style is such that I go off on tangents where it suits me. And that's a style I like in other channels as well. The channels I enjoy and that I watch are channels where people ramble and talk off the hoof, on the hoof or off the hoof. I've lost the plot with that phrase now. I had some idiot the other day objected to one of my videos. He said, "Oh, I can't listen to the way you talk," and it was actually on an autism forum, I think, where he found it. And I said, well, I do say, usually at the beginning of most of my videos that my style isn't for everyone, and it's neurodivergent. And he said, well, if you're neurodivergent, you should make your channel, you should present in a different way that's accessible to all neurodivergent people. So I was like, what? So, as a neurodivergent person, I should not present in my natural way. So therefore I should, according to this guy, I should mask and present in a different way so more neurodivergent people can listen to it. Well, how does that work? If I present in a neurotypical way, that will actually alienate an awful lot of people who are neurodivergent. If I just be me, yes, that will alienate a certain amount of people, but a certain amount of people who are neurodivergent in a similar way to me will get it and they'll like it. Now the thing about neurodivergence is, and they say this about autism and all the different kind of conditions. If you know one person with neurodivergence, you know one person with neurodivergence. There's a huge diversity among people. So I don't think that I could actually work out what a kind of a typical neurodivergent presentation would be that would be accessible to most neurodivergent people. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't work that way. This bloke is an idiot. So I was quite polite to him actually, which is rare for me. I don't mind you, if somebody, I don't mind criticism in some cases if it's polite and if it's well meant. I'll actually engage with criticism. I don't really appreciate unsolicited criticism for the most part. And if anybody's at all abusive, then I'll just, like I say, destroy them. But I was polite to this guy, I think to a point, and then I think I might have verbally destroyed him. So that's so it's a mess, isn't it? From a business point of view, and from the point of view of, because this channel, it's for the most part it's altruistic. It's about getting free information on retroactive jealousy out there to the sufferers of retroactive jealousy. On a second level, it's the main area where clients find me. And that's clients not just for my services but for my team. So people watch my videos on retroactive jealousy and they come to us for therapy. We don't really have any other. We don't advertise or have any other kind of channels or platforms whereby people can find us. So it is for a business. It's also for fun, and I like to share stuff about the non-professional things that I'm interested in. It's a real hodgepodge of who the channel is aimed at, who the channel is likely to be watched by. A seagull just crapped on my bonnet. There you go. Not that you really need to see that, but I washed the car yesterday as well. Distracted again. So it's a bloody mess, isn't it? So it's no wonder I don't get the same level of views as the other retroactive jealousy channels. Although my channel is more informed and more academic, actually, it's more professional, let's say, because I'm a professional psychotherapist. The information that I provide on retroactive jealousy, I'd say, is generally better than the other channels that cover the same topic. I haven't watched them all, so I can't speak for the ones I haven't watched. But I don't get the same number of views as I would if I just did a retroactive jealousy channel and just did content on retroactive jealousy. And if I scrape the barrel every week to come up with something new about retroactive jealousy, which is really recycled content, I would still get more views and more hits on the channel than with what I do now. So this is the thing, and I touched on this in the last video, is I can don't respond to this video by saying you should do this and you should do that, because I know what I should do, but because of my neurodivergence it wouldn't work. It wouldn't happen. I just wouldn't get around to posting stuff, and it would be a channel where I post once every blue moon. And you can't get away with that on YouTube. You have to post regularly, otherwise YouTube kind of puts you in the naughty corner, basically. So there we go. It's a dilemma. I can only do really what I do. If I was a different person, if I was neurotypical, I could do things in a different way and get a better response. But there we go. So this is where, you know, ultimately, as I said in the other video, I need some help. I need somebody that, you know, whose skills are different to mine and are complementary, that have all the skills that I don't have. And maybe some of the videos could be like in an interview format, which makes them more concise and less rambling and all that kind of thing. Because when I'm talking to somebody, I actually have an individual in front of me and having a conversation, I don't tend to indulge myself in tangents and things like that. But I also think, you know, the rambling and the tangents are part of the charm. So what a bloody mess, but there we are. It is what it is. That's all we can say, really. It's what it is. I hope you enjoy my channel. I appreciate all the support I can get. I need all the support I can get because I have a lot of things basically going against me in terms of a successful YouTube channel. So if you can subscribe, you know, and I appreciate if it requires, you know, you having to kind of sign up for YouTube and a little bit of faff. I really do appreciate your effort, because I do need all the help that I can get, and the people and comments I really appreciate. People who sign up on Patreon especially, because that gives me some actually some cash, some money which I can which helps pay the bills, and means that, you know, I have more time to make videos. So yeah, I need your help. And the more you support the channel, particularly by just things like watching to the very end, if you can watch to the very end, that in itself is a big help. And that means YouTube show our retroactive jealousy videos to more people, which is what I want them to do, because they will save lives. You know, they will. I might sound a bit melodramatic there, but we don't have any figures. We don't have the faintest idea of how many suicides are related to retroactive jealousy. But I would put money on it that there are a lot. And I want to prevent that. I want to make people's lives better. I want to take away the pain of retroactive jealousy for people, not just as a profession, but, you know, as because it needs to be done. You know, so that's something that this channel is dedicated to. So thank you for all that. I don't need to do the bit that people do at the end where they say, "Oh, please subscribe and hit the like button," because I've done all that all the way through, haven't I? And I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all positive attention that we get. And if you think you can help us in any capacity, and you can commit to that on a fairly long-term basis, I'd be really delighted to hear from you. And check out the retroactive jealousy content. I've done a lot of stuff on other conditions and other, you know, really important things. And that's something I would like the channel to be known more for as well. Things like, you know, I've done a lot of channels on the nature of people that offend sexually, and how you can reduce the risk of people, you know, how you can actually reduce the number of the amount of sexual offending that takes place, and things like POCD and stuff for people who, what we call MAPS, who people that identify, or, you know, have a sexual attraction for, or sexual and or romantic attraction for children, but have never acted on it and never will, you know, but they're alone and isolated and scapegoated in society, and they need some support and some help to do that. Ostracizing people makes them more likely to offend. If you're one of these people that thinks, you know, somebody that's got that orientation is inherently bad and should be thrown in jail, well, why should they? Because they're not harming anyone. If we're guilty of what's, you know, if what goes on in our heads is a crime, we all get put in jail, wouldn't we? So anyway, a very diverse video, really. We've covered a lot in a reasonably short amount of time for me. I hope this makes sense to you. And talk to me. Let me know who you are. Come and say hi. Really appreciate it. But, you know, if you don't want to, and you've got good reasons for that, that's absolutely fine as well. But it would be lovely to hear from you. And I'll catch you in the next video, which could be about almost anything. And Rangimarie.